Hello, welcome back. I am the Boogeyman. Would you like to hear a story? Well, I bring you tales from the Boogey world. I bring you tales to help send you off to sleep. Come, sleep. Let me help you. Now, before I tell you another tale, I'm going to guide you through a short meditation to relax your body and prepare you for a night of dreams or nightmares. Would you like that? Good. Make sure you finish off any other tasks before we begin. Use the bathroom, drink some water, check under your bed. Make sure there's no other reason to leave your comfort before we enter absolute comfort. You may pause this podcast right here and resume when you're back. Are you ready? Lay down, sweet friend. Lay on your bed, on your floor. No harsh textures around you. Only soft, only gentle. Let's breathe together. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Close your eyes for me. Push away the tension in your eyebrows. You can use both your hands or just the one, so long as you're gentle with yourself. Release that tension. Let the calm wash over your face. Unclench your jaw. Rest your eyelids and your tongue. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Roll your shoulders all the way back. Allow yourself to melt deep into the mattress. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let go of all the tension in your body, in your shoulders, in your neck, your hips, your legs, your toes, your fingers. Surrender your body to sleep. Come, join me in the Boogey world. This next tale is called Mare, the Men and the Mare. This story is about a grudge, a curse, and a mare. In a quaint village, a long time past from now, a young woman named Mare lived almost peacefully. She had many admirers, but none really respected her, so she'd pay them no mind. She was well read, loved to dance, and would work for her father in his butcher shop. Men would not bring her flowers or ask for her thoughts or opinions, but they'd regularly ask for her hand from her father. Her father was usually polite, but never made a promise. Some would feel insulted, and they would lash out. And that's usually when her father stopped being so polite. One summer, a horrible plague had started taking the men from this village, young and old. The first week had taken 5 men, and a village meeting had been called.
I saw it myself. Its eyes were black as all hell, and it held me down.
A humble-looking man standing at the podium at the front of the hall spoke.
I tried calling for my wife, but it held its hand over my mouth, and no sound would leave my body. Evil sat on my chest. I only survived by the light of the candle my sweet wife had lit, seeing me in distress. She said a prayer and it left. If she hadn't been there.
He held back his tears and returned to his seat. The village leader spoke next. He didn't share his own story, but alluded that he believed the humble man, for he'd had a similar experience. The women did not seem to be targeted by this demon, but they were affected. Of course they were. People would point fingers and scream witchcraft. But the men that would scream witchcraft stopped waking up. So, after a while, they learned to stay quiet. Or at least, some of them did. Omara was scared for her father and would stay with him whilst he fell asleep. She'd fall asleep soon after him, and in the mornings, he'd wake first and find her asleep at the foot of his bed, wrapped in a blanket. Although this plague was a tragedy, with so many men dead, fear spread amongst the village. Omara realized that life actually had begun to move smoother for her. Less admirers came for her hand, less propositions, less vulgar calls in the street, less unwanted hands on her body, and then no more. They were all gone. Either dead or living in fear. Some men seemed to be immune. Men like Omara's father, or the man that measured the stars and collected rocks, the sweet librarian that always had a story to share, the 2 gentle friends that held space for each other. Omara realized that every man that had ever done a rotten thing to her was dying, one at a time. She thought back to the first body found, and it was a man by the name of Declan. He was sour and entitled. He'd had some money and a bad temper. He came to her father and demanded to buy her.
Sell this woman to me.
Her father threw him into the street and he scowled that he'd regret this choice.
You and that bitch will regret this choice, old man.
Unbeknownst to Omara, Declan, filled with rage and hate, so sensitive from rejection, sought after a witch in the forest. He called to her.
Witch, come out now, I summon you.
He offered her gold, begging for a curse. He begged for Omara to become something rotten, horrific to look at, that no man would want to be anywhere near. The witch found this man to be putrid and small. She said to him,
"If this is the fate you seek to seal, I think this could work for me. You will pay in souls."
and he agreed, giving no time to consider the consequences. He bought her the items she needed for the curse, and he smiled from ear to ear when he laid in his bed that night, so eager to hear the fate of Omara. Unfortunately for him, that was also the night that the demon came for him. Long blackened fingers, body shifting and dark like a shadow, but heavy as an impossible weight. She crawled onto his body, her bare naked chest on his. He struggled to breathe under her weight and struggled to look at her for how much fear she brought him. He tried to call for God, but God did not hear him. She leaned in and hissed, "Do you want me now?" Unable to move his arms or legs, he began to moan and cry, but no words could spill out. Stuck motionless with the weight of the world on his chest, he finally looked into her deep black pools of eyes, and he struggled out, maybe he was trying to say Omara. Maybe he wasn't trying to say anything, but he looked as if he recognized her right before he died. Omara herself does not recall this, but the Mare does. The Mare knows every last man to do Omara any harm. The witch collects souls from the Mare, and Omara is none the wiser. Although she does suspect that she's involved somehow, maybe even guarded by an angel. Omara goes on to live a long and beautiful life with her father and her dear friends in the village, and even a husband that had gotten to know her in her 40s. He was kind and gentle and saw Omara for Omara. She had a daughter and a granddaughter, and as we all do, eventually, in some ways, she died, never knowing exactly what she became at night. And in the death of Omara, The Mare was given a regenerated power. No longer bound to the witch's curse, the Mare can haunt and taunt whomever she pleases. It's not clear where the witch lives now, or even if she lives at all. That forest has been long gone, and the Mare does not talk about her often, or hardly ever. A witch's tale does not always reach us here in the land of nightmares, but sometimes they do. The Mare still moves throughout the boogie world and into the human realm, visiting nightmares for sport and for fun, holding tight to your vocal cords and pressing you down onto the bed. But she no longer collects souls for bounty, and it's not entirely clear what had happened to the souls that she had already collected, especially now that the witch was nowhere to be found. Maybe the witch had eaten them. Maybe she'd bargained them for something else, for a greater power. We don't know. The Mare is not always kind or easy to talk to. She's not evil or good. I think in her long existence, she's forgotten her motivations. She no longer has any targets, but she still may visit you and sit on your chest for a while. So, if you happen to encounter her, be sure to reassure her that you mean no harm, and either embrace her with love or ask her politely to leave, and she will. Thank you for listening to this tale. It's an honest story from a friend of mine here in the Boogey world. I hope it will help you to better understand us. This podcast is brought to you by the BOOGEYWORLD Podcast Production Network and is sponsored by peptoabysmal.co.uk, the pink and baggy 90s 2000s nostalgia t-shirt brand. Visit linktr.ee/theboogeyworld for all things Boogey World, including links to the website, other podcasts, events, and more. All links will be included in the description. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow, and share. I hope you're resting now. I look forward to sharing this time with you again. Goodbye for now.